I was just thinking these videos are going to get a lot more interesting, aren't they? Anyway, my sister, when I started a channel, she said to me, I think it was unsolicited even, "That's not you, Kathy." I said, "What? That's not you. You would have had to go to school for a long time for that shit. No, that's not you." So relieved. Wow, it felt so good. And then she said she was listening to a recording of it. She wanted to go to sleep with it, and she put it on, and the room started to smell really loud. It was a strong odor. It wasn't, I guess, unpleasant. It was just very, very loud. So she turned off the recording and went away. And then she tried it again, and the smell came back. So there have been strains of this. I guess this is part 2. Fuck. All my life. Clues I left myself. And I have often written that this is a lot like finding myself in a home that's very familiar, very large and spacious, with my most beloved things all around me. But they're only there if I can imagine them there. If I don't want them there, or if I can't imagine them, then they're not there. And it was pitch black, and at first I had the metaphor of being in a gunny sack, and I was having to somehow figure it out. And then pretty soon there were just a few holes, and then pretty soon the metaphor turned into it's so loose, it's like gauze. The same metaphor was used with the clock and with the seasons, and with tree growth running through, because it is, as Cryon has said, a gradual process. It does not occur right away, nor should it. Still not knowing what comes next, but wanting to conclude, understanding that this is about light. This is about DNA activation to 44% or higher. It's much like the movie Lucy, and has been alluded to by Rupert Sheldrake, among other quantum biologists and pioneers, that you hit a certain frequency or pitch, then everything happens. Just like in extremity, remove it, remove it, remove it. I've done that before, and I realized watching that video that is the truth, that there have been times in my life when I have been on my knees, and I understand fundamentally that what I've been doing is no longer going to work, and I don't know what to do next. What do I do now? Help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. Show me, show me, show me, show me, show me. So when Cryon talks about the 5 in a circle, he's talking about people who are oriented in their, I don't like the word mission, neither does he, oriented in their energetics, their patterning, he talks about the finger of God, he talks about the yod, this group of people who are obsessed. They can't shake it. And it pushes them. They have an entangled Akash, fully entangled. They have a hard time knowing what's real and what's not, what's old, what's here, what's in the future. It's taken me so long and so much training to figure out how not to interfere, how to be neutral. And now that I've attained that, I think to some degree, I think I need to work on my compassion. Understanding that I'm here for a purpose. And that purpose is to help. But trying to figure out how to do that without hurting people. I've done that through not asking a lot of questions, but allowing people to just be who they are. And then when they reveal it to me, I love it, because it's beautiful. Oftentimes at great risk, oftentimes never languaged before. What higher gift is there than that, you know? That's what I've given consistently to a lot of people. That's what I finally got back once. And it healed me. I hadn't been heard. I'd never been heard. I'd never dared talk, knowing full well what would happen. Knowing full well. I tried. I was not believed. I was given nonsense answers to things that were very obvious to me. Steeped in right and wrong, judgment, invitations to hate, to puff oneself up. To survive. A holy man who begs. It's grotesque. I don't mean to do that, but it gets scary. Obviously, there are a lot of stories I can tell. Like Esther says, once you get to a certain point, anything's there. So can I do readings? Of course. Can I do healings? Of course. I like tarot. I like the symbology. I like the depth. I like that there's a timing aspect, and I like that I'm not on stage. Because it's not mine. It's theirs. So if I channel for someone, I become an unconscious channel. I don't want to know. It's your stuff, not mine. I won't remember it. I don't want to. You get to own it. So you better record it if you want it, because otherwise it's going to be gone. Tarot is a way to anchor things into reality linearly, and in time things move in the deck. The cards that are significant will appear again and again in appropriate timing, the situations that are going on at the time, giving you a sense of progress and guideposts for what attributes would be helpful to be thoughtful of or consider. Always your choice. So, I hear myself talk and I'm a little freaked out, to be honest with you. I'm glad I took a break. I'm gonna go ahead and just fucking smoke, though. As far as the swearing goes, I really don't care. To me, they're words. I know that they're vibrationally intense. But I do believe that I'm able to incorporate them in such a way where that's not the case. I'm understanding, though, that if I am an amplifier of energy and those words hold power, then perhaps their use should be curtailed somewhat, dear one. Shit. So, after a trounce in wickedness and great fun, I finally settled on a book idea that I thought would be so much fun. It actually has been an HBO idea for a long time. I don't think that network TV would allow it, but I think it'd be really fun to have a story about a house with people who are a little odd, like me. But you see, before there's full attainment, there are just strains of it, just like I was saying, music in the air. there's an interest in angels or the Mayan calendar or fractals in the case of Greg Braden. Greg did a very profound piece for which I had a beautiful witness, Melissa, and I love you. And Greg showed us what happens when vibrationally there is a change in pitch or frequency. There may be a pattern that may be, quite lovely to look at, who knows? And it's sustained. And then something begins to happen. And the pattern becomes chaotic. Untenable, chaotic. Unpleasant to look at. Dissonant. And it goes on a little bit longer than you'd like it to, actually. And then, boom, a more complicated, more beautiful pattern emerges. He explained that 2016 is the time for this to occur for our consciousness. Many people have been saying this for quite a long time. This is not some crazy hippie lady talking her nonsense, man. This is the ancients. This is the legacy of the fifth sun, the return of Atlantis, the return of the star people. This is what that is. For a long time I've asked myself, what do you do when you walk around with this kind of stuff? How do you not upset people? And I think that's been a conundrum. I've always been mixing up my permission, which was low, with my capacity to do harm if I am honest. Because truly that's what it comes down to. It always has for me in relationship. It's what makes relationships so hard for me. Because I so clearly see what's going on, and yet I can't get out of it. Living out, in a few instances, someone else's karma, which is fine. I'm on call. I would like to conclude by telling you that I do believe that this is the order of business of the day. We can parse it out and we can talk the details all we want. And there's plenty of details, and it's more than fine. And I'm looking forward to it immensely, actually. But it's about, as Cryon says, it's about growing up. The first wave of volunteers came in, as I was reminded, in that spaceship, yes? The Bodhisattvic energy, which now can take on less of a suffering tone, I hope. To wake people up, to hold the light. It's always been here. It was going to intensify, and it certainly has. So we are, because of our lineage, obviously, we've been through this before. This isn't our first rodeo. It's not our first ascension. This is the way of it. This is the life cycle, dude. So we come in as the first wave. My loved one Nancy, so potent, holding this much light that long ago. God bless your soul. I'll see you soon. And we're here to help. Dolores Cannon writes about it in the 3 waves of volunteers. She encountered them by the thousands. The first waivers were born in the 60s, late 50s. Don't like it here. Probably have conventional lives. Discontent. Not understanding why. many of them sick. They come in and the SC comes through, the higher self, same voice of course, and explains that this whole stratum, they have, they're actively suicidal, many of them, have been for decades. It's just a metaphor. Not wanting to be here, blah, blah, blah. Being discontent, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Volunteers. We have symptoms of having been here a long time and not having satisfaction. Being able to hold more light than we are currently allowed, basically. And how hard that is. And how it takes its toll. The second wave, born in the 80s, the indigos, the rebels, the ADHD kids, the special ones, the rebels, yeah, mainly. Simply because not because they want to get in trouble, not like our rebels, just big F you to the man, but they rebelled because they just didn't comply. I think not, they said, as a group, and bounced off the walls. Go for it. Now the educational system is crumbling, thank you, Jesus. Because these other kids are just, they're different. Because we made it that way. We kept pitching and kept pushing and kept holding it. And now, the third wave, of course, are the newbies. And they're our helper group. We come in helping each other generationally. And many of the grandkids are there to assist the grandparents in holding light. It's wonderful. It's been that way in my family, certainly. Certainly. With Grandpa Anderson. Mom, too. She was a vortex, as was Vel. Considering the presence of both myself and my father, a lot of feminine energy needed to be held. My dad's a bigger caution than I am. My brother. So, I don't know where that leaves me. Fully exposed. And that's one of the thoughts I had as I realized that there might not be a lot of takers today for channeling and really understanding why and taking it all very personally. And now it's more like, okay, well, it's okay. It's a big day. And my heart goes again. So, I think we're complete here. Cryan has talked about this as being a year of completion for many of us. I thought it was going to happen last year. I was very disappointed when it didn't. Something happened. Something's been happening. Taking that picture of red coals in a starry night and having it turn out with a shining, large Merkaba to the left of my feet, and the coals blue in an orb. I sent that to a friend, my friend. Pleading. How much more proof do I need? How much more? It's good to have a mirror for that. It's good to have an echo for that. Couldn't have done it without some help. So thank you. Thank you. What happened in the mirror happened one other time, right before I met you. I told you about it once. and it worried you. So here I am, at the end of a growth time. Thankfully documented. Unworried. Happy. Finally happy. Appropriately so. It's not... This will be the last of, I think, of me being maudlin, if I'm being maudlin at all. I think I'm just being enthralling. Thank you very much. But it's heavy in that it is dense. And I understand that's how it had to be. I'm shivering, so I understand it's fine. But you only need to figure this out once, I think. Just like an NDE, or just like the eye of God opening up in your living room, right? I think it only needs to be said once. That it's said, and then amplified, perhaps that's okay. This is a group endeavor. Craig, Todd, Lee, Patricia Coates, Sandra Walter, Kai Gabriel, my sweet friend Amy Eudice McBain. All of these people. Nancy Orfield, Melissa Elmore Davis, Mary Anderson. You know who you are. And I thank you for participating in this. It has Irving Anderson, Marjorie Anderson. May you rest in peace. I love you. There comes a time when your past is a story. It can indeed change with looking at it through different eyes. Genetics can be altered. In self and lineage. Disease patterns removed. In the chromosome. Thus rendering those illnesses not available for attachment. Much as viruses and microbes understand. I'm not a hospitable host. And why I understand that my hip issue is an expression of profound pain that I saw lying on my bed 2 days ago and understood. I saw it as an insertion of energy that I willingly took on. It had a geometric to it. It had an entire universe attached to it. And it wasn't mine. And I didn't want it anymore. It was hurting me. It had always hurt me, and I didn't want it anymore. So I asked to have it removed. I saw it. I felt it, and I didn't want it anymore because I didn't recognize it as mine. Instead, a gift of activation and completion, of pain and suffering, beyond simple comprehension. And as a result, it was removed. They told me it would take a while to sink in. And then I saw in my pelvis the two-sun galaxy. I understood about running light both ways, holding both energies, turning into the flower of life. I saw it and I felt it. And with the insertions removal, I achieved a certain completion. As happened to me at the Rhythm Sanctuary earlier when I had a sound bath, they explained I needed the healing to make it cellular, what they had given me that day. So I went. And that was when I made agreements with them, with my lower mind, which have served me well. And the taking on of the multicolored mantle. They said, here it is again. Here's another one. I said, well, at least this one's pretty. And it is. DNA does glitter like that. It's beautiful. Always speaking in metaphors. Never giving a person more than they need. Take it or leave it, right? That and 50 cents. So, I do know I'm no one's guru. I think it's inappropriate to put somebody on the tit and tell them that they can't achieve this on their own. I've had problems figuring out how to manage that in my personal life. I'm sorry about that. It's been hard trying to figure out how to manage myself. So thank you for being indulgent as I grow. But now I see it is about permission. It is about allowing people to do as they see fit. And this has been a source of great anger for me. I know what's best. Well, I do know what's best for me, but I was refusing to see it and incorporate it in my life because it wasn't time. In the end, let's talk about this just briefly, dears. We are a wave of consciousness going through, impregnating, enlivening the grid of this planet, geographically placed in pristine divine order, on purpose. Expressions of love, whether we're assholes or not, just doesn't matter. Understanding everything or understanding nothing, it doesn't matter. We are here from the stars. That's our lineage. That's why we recognize each other. That's why we know each other so well. All of my brothers and sisters, everyone I meet, I'm friends with already. That's why. Because we've been lonely, and it's time to come out and play and own this stuff and be okay with it. There are enough of us now. It's not dangerous anymore. They're not going to hurt us anymore. Walk with us before you got hurt because there were too many of them and not enough of us. That's what we have changed through our agreement and through the agreement of the all, because this is what evolution is. It's simple evolution. We will continue to embody more and more cleverness and humor and lightness, ridding ourselves of petty argument. And the heavier agreement fields, which are valid and must run their course. But time passes, thank Christ. time passes. And gradually, slowly, by virtue of just breathing in and out, what was once so toxic to others, in my opinion, my signature, has sweetened. I have been worried always that I was too much, and told I was too much, and often shushed. It wasn't time, but I wasn't burned alive. I wasn't excommunicated. I was rewarded financially for work which I was able to, somehow express my bigger self through technology and all that. And now I do understand it's time to be here for you, but understand I'm not a guru. To me, what matters is the people who are willing to physically walk with me, look me in the eye, and say that I'm okay. Because when I look into people's eyes, that's all I see. And I really like that returned. And I know that sometimes it doesn't happen. And that's okay. I'm not chocolate. And neither are you. If you're encountering bullies, people who are mean, people who don't forgive, people who love to hold a grudge, people who like to know, not wonder, but know. They know something you don't. It takes a lot of work. I like to hear Cryon and him talking about how we are to function in this new world with this new countenance. How do I go from to hey, how you doing? That's been I think the last one that I've been working on. And I do think that people sense that I am judging them in some way. And I think in some way I am. But I think all this time it's just been judging myself for holding an air that was far less than accepting of myself. And that what matters most in this world is standing up in self-acceptance. And so this idea of permission and healing is a big one. Permission. Can I permit myself to say these words and then post them to a readership that reaches all over the world? Do I give myself permission to speak the truth about my reality as I currently understand it, having spent a lifetime developing a theory and philosophy which closely, eerily, matches that of educators and mystics with whom I have had limited contact. We are all one. We're all receiving at a level which allows us to share information psychically, emotionally, in our Merkaba. And this is how I want to end. Thinking on my dear teachers. What a wonderful way to end. When the whales were beaching themselves quite frequently in the 90s, I asked about that. It concerned me that whales would be suicidal. And it gave me proof that maybe I should get off planet. That was my thinking. They said, no, dear one. Whales travel in their own Merkaba. Each have a Merkaba, but then they meld them. They become one. And they move as a unit through the ocean. Running the grids. That's their job. To hold it all. They were beaching because the magnetics had changed. They follow magnetic lines, not by sight, and not individually. I knew this, and yet it was never languaged again in my reality until Crya mentioned it 2 weeks ago. And I thought, here we go. Here we go. So I believe that we as a group, once we hit a certain pitch, described up again by Rupert Sheldrake, very early on in the New Science of Life in 1983, I believe it was. No, 85. God bless you. We hit a certain vibration frequency, which we were able to provide for the teachers, at which time they ascended. They needed to have celestial triggers and our energy, our intention. When this occurs, then, boom, we all get it. Because we're all made of the same stuff, basically. And we have a certain lineage and a certain natural bent. We can feel it and hear it. We know how to express it. We're radio receivers, and we're turned up really high. We found a station that is very pleasing. So now we're going to broadcast. And truly, what Nancy said is true. It's maybe not a time to even ponder this again for a while. She didn't say that. I'm saying that. What she did say was it's time to be. I got a glimmer of this when I went to see the Lovelies, a group of girls who I love very much. And in that group, I realized that no matter what anybody was saying, and they were all very esoteric and very advanced. A lot of them much farther along the path than I. Very impressive. Kind of intimidating even. I would think, every time they talk, I already know that. With everybody. And I got it over and over again. You know, when you know everything, you don't have to talk all the time. And then Esther echoed that. There comes a time when you just don't have to ask anymore. I mean, you don't have to. All you have to do is ask. And anything you want, you can know. She talks to the DNA. It's phenomenal work. Phenomenal. Very helpful. And I realized that in medicine, and realized it would be in study in patience and frustration for me to go further in my linear education when I was getting complete diagnostics and treatment paths and prognoses on patients intuitively. I would have that would have been kind of soul crushing. So I chose not to do that. So yeah, I can hang my shingle as a medical intuitive. I was shown on that bed when, after the insertion was removed, they did this thing with my chakras, and they explained a lot about physical healing as well as emotional healing and how well they are integrated, and that was very helpful. There's a lot to begin documenting. As I've said, I don't. There's some of this stuff about reality creation that I can't do without a partner, simply because I'm an entity. I need to be able to function in this world. And I need someone else to be able to hold that as I write about it, as it comes through. But there's a lot more else to write about. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is just do a quick video in the morning. It's going to be a little bit easier now because I don't have that crippling self-doubt I did. Although I know I'm going to go through a fugue of disbelief, I'm certain. I have no more fear because it's documented. It's my gift to you and to humanity. It's the fruit of my labor. So anyone who wants to know more can read. I'll tag the websites. Donations are appreciated. Love in action, in the form of this kind of flow. It is wonderful. It's a miracle. With enough money, I'm going to begin editing Deeply Awake. I believe it's enough for 4 volumes. But this is my baby. And the agreement was that I would not write it unless I had an editor would come forward. This is what the agreement I had. And with this I'll close because this is a 3 minutes of shameless advertising. They gave me a lot of information about what was going to happen with the writing. And one of the things that I said was, no one is going to touch this work but me, unless they are in love with it, unless they understand the significance of it and the historical importance of it, and unless they honor it. And once I find that person, then I'm going to go off to Mexico because I don't want to be around for the butchering. But it's got to be somebody who has entered my consciousness, understands it very well, respects it, honors it, knows how to navigate it. And that person will come. I keep seeing a female, I keep seeing New York City. And then I also see San Francisco in short cubicles. But, visuals are visuals. They are oftentimes misleading and purposefully red herrings for exploration and fun. So I don't know. The idea being that the people who are involved in my projects are going to be people who understand what's going on. And this is what would fill me sometimes with great shame in a Cryon event. I'd look around at all of his support staff and think, it wasn't shame really this last time, which was good, because before it was just really very tense. That was the time I got to see Jesus. Okay, I can relax. Because really, what a cheeky thing that he did, and proof that, it's real. Ta-da! And so anyway, this last time it was more like, well, this is really cool to be in the position where we know these things, and there isn't the embarrassment for not understanding something so simple. Anyway, to conclude, I want to thank you for your love, your support, your indulgence, and your continued viewership. Why not? I've flown my freak flag pretty high. I was worried that no one liked it, that no one was going to come visit me. And then this happened. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everybody. So I've said my thank yous, I've said my I love yous, and I've said my goodbyes. I've said my goodbyes. I'm counting down. I want 4444. Bye, all.